But there was a collab going on at Metroflex. Two big influencers in the game now. And then the guy, Jeff, he runs Fit Media Channel. Like me and him, like we go back a while or whatever. And he was like, do you know what's really funny? Is that the only time they talked was when the camera was on. The moment the camera went off, silence. I'm not doing a collab with no one like that.
Hey friends, welcome back to the channel, to Tech Club, the ongoing series.
Hello and welcome to Digital Voices podcast, creator behind the influence. I'm Jenny Quigley-Jones, the CEO of Digital Voices, and today I am joined by the force of nature.
Ooh.
That is Gabriel Sey.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You have been on YouTube since 2012, so over 10 years. Mm-hmm. You've posted 700 plus videos.
Yep.
About 410,000 subscribers, 45,000 on Instagram, 45,000 on TikTok. And before then, you had at least 20 different jobs?
Yeah, at least. I think it's mid-20s.
Yeah.
I like to dabble.
I like that YouTube is the thing that has held you for long enough.
Yeah, my mom's surprised too. Actually, my whole family's surprised. Like, I'm the one that was like, oh, yeah, I want to do that now. So, like, for YouTube to hold me and social media in general, that's wild.
Pretty impressive, yeah. So how would you describe your content to someone who's never seen your content before?
So it's evolved over the years, but it started off with like giving people free information that I didn't have when I started training, and then I started bringing in my family. But it's just trying to help people to live a better life through my experience.
So how did you get started making that first video? What was the plan?
So when I was working in recruitment and the job before, my plan was to go into the job, work a certain amount, get as much money as I could, and then leave and then create a kids camp. So multi-sport, so it would be like basketball, football, tennis and whatnot, but nothing would look like the ball it's meant to be. It would just be all plain. So they getting an experience of multi-sports without fixating on one. So then I was like, okay, cool. I've now left this job, doing my PT course. I now need to market. So how about I start PTing the parents, was the plan. So I started thinking, oh, how am I going to get these people? And then I was working with a couple other people at the time. And he said, check out this guy, Chris Jones, Beast Mode Jones. I was like, okay, cool. YouTube. All right. He was like, I've got a camera. Let's film some videos. And I was like, well, what can I film? I was like, okay, how to deadlift. Simple exercise, just go through the basic cues and stuff. That one.
Still one of the most popular videos.
Yeah, it is wild how people are still searching that and still finding mine as the main thing. And then it was like how to bent over row, how to bench press. And that was the beginning of it.
And so you saw success immediately?
I guess so. I'm a very hard person to please. So what looked like success quite quickly, I was like, okay, so what's next? Like, where's the progression going from this? And like that video did well, but then, I need to continue the trend. That was the hard bit.
So you're very target motivated.
Yeah.
Cool, yeah. Did you see any parallels then between recruitment and the YouTube work?
It's just relentless. And I think that was the thing, like the first day I stepped into the recruitment job and the manager said, you need to make 100 calls a day. I said, feel what? I need to make 100 calls to who? Who am I making these calls to? But it just built a level of resilience. And the job before that was with Enterprise Car Rental. Mm-hmm. And again, that is just like, it's American, fast-paced, great customer service. Hey, how are you doing? It was like, it was so, it drained my life. But then it also taught me a lot about like just putting everything into it. It made me realize my capacity.
That's cool. Did you take that into being self-employed doing YouTube? Because I guess it's quite easy to fall out of a structure, but because you'd had such structured jobs and goals and targets before, did that mean you could probably approach content a little bit differently?
Yeah, I was on it all the time. I remember at one point I got stuck at 25,000 followers. And I'm not sure if you remember Toby from YouTube.
Yeah.
I
Dale.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
I was relentless in like, I need to find, like he said that he can do analytics. I need to find him. I need to find out everything to do with analytics. I need to understand everything to its core.
The funny thing is, Toby wasn't even the analytics guy.
I know.
he was an editor.
He must have done one summer in the city.
Well, yeah, he did one. So he is very smart.
And where he did the analytics workshop, and I was like,
Yeah.
I need to find him. I need to find him. I need to know more. And I was just like, I was on this rampage of the...
Toby, you are so getting sent this video. Yeah, great. Go on, you're on a rampage to find Toby.
Yeah, and I was just like I just needed to. I'm the type of person that I can't know a small piece of something. If
Yeah.
I decide I need to know everything, I need to know everything. So
Fun backstory here. I was your YouTube partner manager for a while,
Yep.
so I can attest that you did turn up to every call and ask all the questions. Yeah. Did you find having a contact at YouTube helped you? Like, I don't know if you still have a partner manager or.
Layla was mine for a little bit as well.
She's awesome.
But yeah, it was helpful. It was helpful in the beginning stages, and then I felt like some of the information became a bit kind of like, not generic, but it was like, it's like a standard. So it's like, okay, so now I need to think further past this base information.
Yeah, I think it's always like no one is going to know what you should do better than you.
Yeah,
And it puts that responsibility on you.
yeah. It's really easy to kind of like look to, you know, like I've gone to like events with Instagram and stuff like that. And it's like, they're saying the foundation stuff. You can't go there thinking they're going to have the answers because they don't have the answers.
Yeah. So like you can know the algorithm, you can know the new products and new features.
Yeah.
But actually it's your audience that is
Yeah.
going to come back or not.
Yeah,
So like there's only so much that anyone else can do.
exactly.
When you're like reading comments every day.
Yeah.
So when you were known for doing this really educational, informative fitness content, were you a qualified PT then? Did you learn it by yourself? Like how did you learn your own craft?
So I was training from age 19. When I started YouTube, I was 28. So I had like a big run of like training and learning and understanding. And one of the gyms that I went to, there was like the biggest bodybuilders I've ever seen. And I was just like, excuse me, sir, how do you grow your calves like that? It's like constantly trying to like learn that type of information, and I just like took it in. I was buying books, I was like reading articles, printing out articles. I still got folders, like big ring binder folders of just information. So that's how it started. And I was like, well, I can't just turn up to a gym and just say, hey, do this. I need to be qualified. So then I did my PT course in, when was it? February 2012.
Yeah.
And then I launched April.
So you started with this goal of I'm going to train the parents on YouTube and then do my mixed sport camp. What was your goal with YouTube? Like once you started it, did you have an end goal in mind? Did you know you wanted it to be your career? Did you?
Oh, hell no.
What was the plan?
No, that wasn't the plan at all. It was literally, I wanted eyeballs on my website.
Was it?
That was it. So at the end of each video, it was, I called it was the Fearless Fitness Academy. I really hate that name now. Like I cringe every time I say it. I'm like, ugh, Fearless Fitness Academy.
It does sound like you're going to make people eat cockroaches.
Yeah.
Bit of that.
So,
It's also that type of like toxic sounding, like
Yeah.
hyper masculine
And that-
workout.
I think that's the persona that I felt I had
Yeah.
at the time. Because I didn't add like the comedy stuff. Like if you watch some of my old videos, it is the cringiest thing ever. I was going back and I was like, who is this guy talking? Let me reenact one. So I was sitting back on the chair like this. Yo, this is Gabriel from the Fearless Fitness Academy. Today we're going to talk about... My sister called me up. The day I uploaded it, my sister called me up. She said, did you just wake up? Like, no, I was being cool.
Most people go to YouTube with too much energy. You're there like...
No, I had this thing of like, I need to be this cool guy because this is what people expect of me. Like, if I'm this guy and I'm like making jokes and stuff, like, they're not going to take me seriously.
Whereas hilariously now, it's all about like that really hyper vulnerable authenticity, like all the mistakes you make.
And the funny thing is, like, there's people that do it, and I'm like, that's not you, bruv. That's not you.
They're trying
I
to be
see
too
straight
funny.
through it, and I'm just like, you're not that guy. Like, I've met you, and you have the personality of a wet fish. Like, it's dead. Like, stop pretending.
That is one of the things that really used to scare me when we were working at YouTube. We'd be running events, and so everyone would be sat around the table, and like we'd do a presentation. And then at the end of the event, people would remember they were supposed to be vlogging it. So they'd get their cameras out, and suddenly it'd be like, hey guys, I'm with so-and-so. And you're there in the vlog, like, I don't have a persona to put on. Like, what do I do? And it's so awkward because you're just like, oh, so that person did a complete 180. Like, I've met one person for 3 hours, and then they just became like, ah!
And then you go and talk to them immediately afterwards. They're like, yeah, what's up?
Yeah.
Wait, so where was that?
Yeah,
where
who
was
is that person?
Can you-
And
can
I
you-
get like there's online personas, but like the idea of, I don't know how you manufacture that. Well, I guess you do. How did you manufacture it?
So the persona that I have online is literally just me.
Now.
Like all of the jokes, all of the foolishness, like all of the voices, like, you know, like I've got this kind of Jason Statham type voice. And sometimes I bring him in, I was like, hey, this guy needs he needs a name. He needs a, Mike. So then I started bringing in Mike into my videos and stuff. And it's like, but that's just me. And then my sister is always kind of like the person that says, okay, now we're on track. And she was like, yeah, your channel is now 100% you.
That's quite nice. That's kind of the difference. That's very different to other people who I think like.
Because like, there's only so long that you can put an act on. Like, I'm not an actor. Like, I didn't start YouTube to be an actor, but some people are starting YouTube being an actor. And I was like, I would love to get into acting roles, but my page is just me. It is like what you see is what you get.
Now you've rebranded from like Fearless Academy.
Fearless Fitness Academy.
Fearless Fitness Academy. So now you're like Active Black Dad.
Yeah.
Do you feel like having an identity, like a verbal identity that isn't your name, helps you like peg it? Like, how do you choose?
I'm kind of moving away from it a little bit. I mean, Active Black Dad, I renamed that because I wanted to, there was a core message that I was trying to get across. Yeah. And it was the fact that, like, when people look at the black community, they're like, oh, well, did your dad come back with the milk? I'm like, that's one, okay. That was so funny.
Yeah,
and then there's me with like my 2 kids at home. I'm trying to be as present as I can. So it's almost like showing that things are changing. And if things were like that before, it might not be like that now. So it's like, that was a core message that I was trying to get across then.
How do you feel about putting your kids in your content? And like, it's very like your channel is a lot of you because it's like your family are in it as well. Mm. How did you make that decision?
I'm always very mindful of when the kids are on screen. So I always think if I was being filmed when I was younger, which I thought would have been amazing, I wouldn't want anything that I would look back on in 10 years and be like, I'm embarrassed by that. So I don't show like their most vulnerable moments. You know, if I'm going to talk about a vulnerable moment, I'll talk about it, but not with them. So it needs to be centered on me, and they're just kind of like additional characters here and there, as opposed to, I mean, some people, they're just like, hey, do something funny for the camera. It's like, okay, this is a bit too much now. So it's like, when it gets to that point, I think that's when you need to just draw a line. Yeah,
it's also when your income becomes dependent on featuring your kids. Yep. It scares me a little bit.
That is a deadly combination.
Yeah.
Because like every time you're, even like knowing that what I have to post will have an impact on my income, that makes those decisions kind of crazy. If I then think, oh, well, I have to film something with them. It's like, there's even sometimes brands have come to me for like Instagram content, and they're like, oh, we want the family in it. Not with this one.
Is that for all brand deals, or is that for
some?
Specific?
Yeah. So like, my rule of thumb with those brand deals is if I feel like the kids are going to have fun doing it, then it's cool. Yeah. If it's just something that you just want kids in it, you know, Elijah's now at the age where it's like, Elijah, do you want to record a video? It's like, not really. Then I'm like, oh, the deadline's tomorrow.
Like, when are you going to feel like it, kid? Do you want a milkshake if you do it? Just hold this camera real quick.
I didn't want it to get to that point at all.
No. Yeah.
So like, if they can't have fun with it and I can't like use special effects to make him feel like a superhero or something like that, then I'm not going to do it. So.
Yeah, that's very fair. Yeah. I think it can be a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And then the brand deal part as well. It's like, if they were a child actor, there are like amounts of money you have to put in trust and stuff to protect them in the future. Yeah. Whereas on YouTube, there's kind of none of that. So it's like entirely left at the parents' discretion.
And it's like they need to be paid. So it's like you need to put something into a savings account for them or something. It's like there needs to be investment somewhere that is like for them. So, yeah.
So if you didn't have one goal on YouTube when you started, how have you kept motivated for 10 years? Have you like changed the goal, moved the goalpost for yourself?
It was the day that my wife Naisha bought me a camera. So basically I fell out with a videographer. He went on this mad rampage and then like took my website down and everything. I was just like, okay, I have cousins in tech. My website's back.
Like, do your work.
But yeah, he left in a hissy fit. Then my wife bought me a camera. And then from that point, I was just like, well, this filming stuff's all right. And then I started like understanding cameras and filming myself and stuff. And I was just like, and then editing, like I'd done editing before. Yeah. Like I edited my own highlight reel in American football so I could play pro in Finland. So, so I had the knowledge there, but then I was just exposed to all of it. And it was just like, this is crazy. This is cool. And yeah.
What part of it was cool? Was the freedom or the learning or?
I think a bit of all of it. Like I said earlier, like here's a story. So for my GCSEs, my dad was like, oh, I hope you're studying. I came back and I was like, Dad, I'm going to fail French, geography, RE, and there was another subject, humanities. And he was like, how are you calling that like now? Yeah. And I was like, because I hate those subjects. I don't learn in those subjects, but I'm going to ace the others. So it was like, if I really like something, I'm all in. Yeah. And that's the same kind of like feeling that I had with filming and then YouTube and putting content out. I was just like, wow.
So you're a fan of like the theory of work to build up your strengths, not to get your weaknesses to like a better position, but actually if you've got strengths, focus on those.
Yeah, double down, because like it's good to work on weaknesses, I think, but not to the point where you're trying to bring them up to balance, because then you don't have a strong point. Yeah. So like I like if I was talking to people now, I'd use jiu-jitsu as an example. So like in jiu-jitsu, you've got top and bottom game. So bottom game is like you're normally sat on the floor and you're working your attacks from there. Or you've got top game, like I will dash you on the floor. And I will figure out my choke from that point onwards. I'm not like, my bottom game is not great, but I'm not going to spend weeks and weeks and weeks developing my bottom game to match, because at the moment my top game is strong. So if I really nail that, I'll be a problem for you. So it's like...
Yeah, okay. I see how it applies to business, sport and YouTube. It's interesting. Lots of parallels. So you took a hiatus from YouTube for a while. Came back about a month ago, partly because of the toxicity of the fitness space. Why did you take the break?
I was just fed up. I think I got to the point where I was like, I've talked so much. There's only so much that I can say when it comes to, oh, here's an exercise that you haven't tried, or eat this to lose belly fat. And like, I've got friends. I'm not gonna name your name, but you know who you are. He's got hundreds of videos on how to lose belly fat in X amount of days. I can't do that. Like, just for I know that, and they're the highest viewed videos, but in my head, I'm just like, I've told you this information. Even when I was personal training clients, I don't want you longer than 6 months. Mm-hmm. Because I've taught you, you now know, now go.
Spread your wings, little butterfly.
Yeah, it's like, it comes to a point where you're just like, I can't keep saying the same thing. So if that's how it is in real life, I'm not going to repeat myself constantly for views and subscribers. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to figure out a different angle. And then the kids made that harder, that process harder, because it's like time gets eaten up so quickly. Yeah. And then what was meant to be like 3 months became a lot longer.
How long did you take off in the end?
I'm pretty sure it's about on and off about 2 years.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like little sprinkles of videos here and there, but it wasn't like, at one point I was posting daily, like back in 2014. And it was nowhere near, it was like one every like 5 months. So, yeah.
Wow. How did your audience respond now you've had like your comeback?
It was it was mixed. I'd say the reach that the video got wasn't the same as it used to be. But the people my ride or dies are still there. So, really, I think my plan of my official comeback is catering to the ride or die and then expanding out.
Okay. What do you think about the fitness industry on social media?
I hate it.
Hate. Strong word.
It's the strongest word and the most valid word for this. Like, it is the fitness industry, even before Instagram and everything, it's the most pretentious, egotistical. It's full of lies. Like the people in it just like
they make your blood boil.
Yeah.
Just because of the lies, because of the toxicity.
I think because I was in it, I was like fully in it. So I was competing. I was with brands at Body Power. So Body Power was like, it's just, let's get all of those people into one big room, and it was just weird. So I saw everything. People that I spoke to, there was. If you went to Body Power and you saw an influencer or whoever it is, bodybuilder, talking to their fans, it would go like this. Oh, well, I'm doing this. Oh, yeah, and did you know I did this? Oh, and I did this. I bought this car, and then I bought this, and then I did this, and I did. But it's meant to be it's not a conversation. 9 times out of 10. So the people that I kind of connected with and I rolled with, they were on a similar like level to me, but that was a very small number. Yeah. So everyone's like, oh, collab. I'm like, right, I'm not doing this.
You don't want to collab with the toxic people.
I don't want to name names, but there was a collab going on at Metroflex. 2 big influencers in the game now, and they were doing a workout together. And then the guy Jeff, he runs Fit Media Channel. Like me and him, like we go back a while or whatever, and he was like, do you know what's really funny? Is that the only time they talked was when the camera was on. The moment the camera went off, silence. I'm like, I'm not doing a collab with no one like that.
No.
Like if I'm doing a collab, like
joke around.
Yeah. Like I did a collab with Danielle Pisa.
Yeah.
It was bodybuilder does gymnastics.
Yeah. Cool.
We met in a cafe a couple weeks before, just to see what the vibe was like.
Yeah.
And I was like, we could run a good collab.
Because if not, the collab would be really awkward.
But the actors are good.
So weird.
The fitness industry is full of actors.
Mm. Okay, do you think a lot of the content posted is lies as well? So a lot of the like what I eat in a day or the workouts that I do videos, like the trends on TikTok where it's like reviewing certain workouts, or this is how you grow glutes, or like this is what I eat in a day. I don't think they're real.
I would say 70% of them are absolute BS. Especially the what I eat in a day is like, they're taking and this is where like, also as a viewer, you need to take it with a pinch of salt. Like, no one's gonna to post on social media to say, yeah, mate, I just sat in bed, ate Frosties. It's like,
yeah.
So it's always like the best foot forward, and that's what social media is.
And I've noticed, like, as a person who views this content on TikTok, I think it skews towards women as well. It's very quick that you go from what I eat in a day that's healthy and protein filled to there's been a lot of stuff that's come up that's like, you're eating like 500 calories a day, and it's that pro-ana stuff. And it's really interesting because you quite quickly go from watching fitness content to in a space where I'm reporting the videos. I'm like, if a young person's watching this, they're going to think it's okay to not eat. Like, and it all sometimes feels like it comes from the same root of like potentially lying about your lifestyle.
Do you know where I think, and I was going to make a video on this, the root of pretty much every fitness trend, the root of the fitness trends come from bodybuilders. All of them. And it's never with what the bodybuilders are doing, there's nothing wrong with it. They're competing in a top level sport where, one, they have to take drugs to get to a certain point. They have to eat a certain amount. They have to train a certain amount. And at some points, they need to diet down on next to no calories. But it's for a purpose. But people go, oh, let me take that. Yeah, you lot have that. Yeah, that's what you should do to lose weight. What are you talking about? So like this whole thing of like, you need to eat 8 meals a day to burn body fat. At one point, I think I almost fell for it. I was like, yeah, 7-8 meals a day. You need to like small meals. Until I met Rolly Winkler, who's one of the big Olympia bodybuilders. And I saw him eat and I was like, yeah, I understand now. Like he ate like 2 whole chickens like it was nothing.
But that's because his whole life is built around his sport,
and because
right?
they have so many calories to eat.
Yeah.
They have like sometimes 7,000-8,000 calories to eat a day, every day.
Yeah.
So they're getting, chicken fillets in the oven. They're not seasoning them. They're not like cooking it or like properly. They're just like whack it in the oven because they're not seeing it as food. They see it as fuel. Yeah. And I remember I was in that mindset as well, because when you're competing, you can't see it as like, oh, it's not tasty, so I'm not going to eat it. So it was just a dry piece of chicken breast, bit of salt and pepper, big batch of rice, big batch of veg, and then they divvy it up into their containers. But that was their lifestyle. And then all of a sudden that came mainstream and they're like, oh, look at him. He's big. He's jacked. Did you see he ate 8 meals a day? I have to do that too. It's like,
you're right. It's that unrealistic expectations from seeing someone whose entire life is
and people take snippets because they want to believe that one little thing is the thing that's going to transform their whole life, when they don't realize that it's a compound of so many different levels and layers. And that's where the problem started. Because even like a lot of these workouts and stuff, they're like, oh, do this really short range of motion to build this. No, the bodybuilders had to do that because they're literally fine-tuning everything. They already look like human clouds. If you look like a cloud, it doesn't matter if you're doing that. You're trying to get one little piece of muscle fiber to go, ping, like that is it. So if you're doing that, it doesn't mean that everyone else has to do it. There's people forget about the nuances and the certain parameters that you need to have to be able to make that work for you.
And I guess also it makes less polarizing and probably then less successful content if you're doing content that caters towards the normal person. And
that's the content that always does the worst. And it's funny how now the trend is basic exercises get you thing, and like people are now jumping on that. But it's like and the reason why I think the fitness industry has gone down this big hole, this big black hole, is everyone's trying to outdo each other with the next best thing. Or they're trying to package it into a way of like, well, if you do this, you're going to get your goals. If you do this, of course you're going to, like the magic pill.
Yeah. Okay, this comes back to something really interesting you mentioned about your ride or die audience. Do you think it's partly an inherent problem in fitness because people are watching that content for a piece of education? So you don't have like loyal audiences unless you put your personality in it, because your audience is trying to find a fitness quick fix. Whereas if you were like a lifestyle channel, or you're showing other sides of your family or personality, you can afford to be a bit more real because your audience will follow you because they like you, not because they're following like some fitness trend.
I think that's an interesting one, because even like the people that show their lifestyle, for the majority of the people that watch fitness content, like there are certain people that I wouldn't subscribe to, but I go to their channel for like, because I know their information is good.
Yeah.
If they started posting lifestyle stuff, I probably wouldn't care. But then there's people in the fitness industry that post like their workouts and then they start posting lifestyle stuff. And the only time it gets traction is if it's stuff that caters to the general public's escapism. The cars. Oh, look, I just bought a Ferrari. Yeah. It's like, what? I don't care. Oh, look at my yacht. Oh, yeah, I've moved to Marbella. It's like, it's like, how does it? This has no relevance to me. All it's making me do is either like build this drive that only some people get, but most of the time it's just making people in the moment feel like, oh wow, that's amazing, but afterwards feel completely crap about themselves.
Yeah, it's all like get rich quick content as well. Like I'm gonna make 100 grand a month on TikTok. I'm like, what?
No, all of them make 10K a month. Oh yeah, I did it in 30 days. Oh, shut up. Yeah. Please shut up.
Yeah, I feel like inherently it makes you just not appreciate your own life and what you actually have. Yeah. So on that note, do you have a favourite type of content to post? And why?
Favourite type of content to post?
Or to make?
I think my biggest goal throughout all of my content, I'd say like an underlying theme, would be I want my content to make people feel something. And that's it. So like, if I feel like doing a short film on anxiety, I'll do it. I did one on my panic attacks that I used to have. If I feel like talking about male suicide, I'll run it. So it's like, if I feel like a moment feels really nice and heartfelt and stuff with like the kids or whatever, cool. If I want to make you laugh, then cool. But essentially it's about making you feel something, either like making you question. People don't ask enough questions anymore. People take everything at face value. People, like my mum will send me stuff. Oh, look at this. And I'm like, Mum, you know that's fake, right? I'm like, how did you know? I had to do just one search to realize that was fake. But everyone now, because TikTok especially started with like real people giving real information, now it's just like people just are putting out information for clout.
Yeah.
So they're making stuff up. So then people are like, what? I can rub apple cider vinegar on my teeth and lose 20 pounds in my sleep? Margaret!
Honestly, and it's so interesting because, so I found this during COVID. You watch TikTok and Clubhouse explode. And both of them, like, at the same time, pre-COVID, going into it, Facebook and YouTube were talking so much about fact-checking. And then suddenly Clubhouse is going on and you're listening to someone and you realise like we're all trapped in our homes and they're just like on their phone and they're like talking about how they're the best person in the world. And you're like, hang on, no one's fact checking this person speaking because like it's audio, how you can do it. Yep. And then TikTok, because it's a search algorithm, sometimes you'll see something that'll be like search, I don't know, apple cider vinegar on your teeth. But like there's no external check. It's not like this is shit information or not. So I've seen a lot of this stuff politically on TikTok as well. You go and you Google search it and you're like, oh, this is not real. And it really worries me that we've got to a stage where it is so addictive to be on that platform. Leaving that platform, I can easily watch an hour and a half of TikTok a day.
Yep.
That is a working month a year. How crazy is that? The average user in the UK, 96 minutes a day on TikTok. That is a month of your year, a working month.
That is wild.
And it's like, it's so addictive you don't want to leave, so you don't want to fact check it. And then people are being encouraged to make more and more content like that. That's just like crazy, here's my great information.
Yep.
Trust me because I look trustworthy. Which, what the hell is that? I look like an expert in this. So you quite quickly end up in a situation where like, we're not fact checking at all. And when you're looking at health and fitness, it can be so dangerous to have that level of misinformation.
And then it's a snowball effect, because one person will post like, you can take this and lose 20 pounds in your sleep. And then they'll be like, oh, I got 1.1 million likes. I'll just say the same thing. And you got another person doing it. And then you've got more people. So it's just like, it just floods. All of a sudden it becomes like literally how a virus spreads. And that's why I was like, this is influenza. This isn't an influencer. It's like, you're spreading a virus, because and that's why I got, trends. That's why I said I don't like trends. Because you scroll, like at first, like that was what TikTok was about. And it's like people just recreating stuff. And it's like, but you scroll and then you're just like, you're doing the same thing. You didn't change anything. Why didn't you change it a little bit? It's just like literally just copy and paste. I'm just like, this is the worst thing.
And you mentioned this about like creators copying each other or having to make 50 of the same videos. And they do it on TikTok because they know one of them will go viral. Yeah.
Just slightly word things a bit differently.
Yeah.
How to lose weight in a month.
Whereas on YouTube, your audience would be like, you've made the same video twice. Like,
the funny thing is, I look at the comments on those videos and no one says it. Because it's almost like it keeps getting pushed out to a new audience. And it's like, but if I'm a subscriber of your channel, I can't. But then some people are like, oh great, I didn't know that. He said it last week. Literally, it's like, yeah.
Do you feel like YouTube and social is oversaturated at the moment? It's like, would you start now?
I would recommend people to still start now. You need to find your lane. It's just finding your lane quicker. You need to find your lane fast. And I think like, for me, it took me a while to let my kind of comedic, just be myself. It took me a while to get to that point. Like I felt like, especially as a black guy in London, everyone's expecting me to be like, man from the roads, innit? So it's like the decision when I made Bodybuilder Does Gymnastics was like, I don't care anymore. I don't care what anyone thinks. I don't care. This is me, like it or lump it. And that took me, 4 years?
Was it to be confident enough to drop the persona?
Yeah. Because it's a lot. Like you're putting yourself out to millions of viewers. Yeah. And even like the stuff that I did before that, which was kind of like slightly comedy based, it still didn't feel, it wasn't 100% me. And until you're 100% you, I think that's the time that you really see growth, or you're a very good actor. If you're a wicked actor and you can put on a persona and you drill it, then cool, be an actor and do your thing. But my main thing was I don't want to meet someone in the street and they go, wow, that Gabriel, it wasn't the same as when he's online, he's different.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want people to meet you and be like, yeah, it's the same person.
Yeah.
I like that. So tips for people starting out: find your lane fast. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Find your lane fast and stick with it. Just stick with it. Don't box yourself in. Like everyone's like, hey, find your niche. Find your niche. Why are you saying niche? Niche.
It really annoys me though, because if you say the riches are in the niches, it rhymes. But the riches are in the niches doesn't quite work. It really annoys me. I'm like, English language is such a struggle. American English, the riches are in the niches. They love it.
Well, I hate that word so much. But like, you should have a rough niche of like who you're trying to talk to, and it should just be who can you add value to, who you're talking to, why is it important to you. So the who, what, and how. And that's like the basic things you should ask yourself before making content, and then just go with it. Be creative. It's a creative platform.
Love that. It's creative enough to keep you interested for over a decade. So that's pretty good. So in 5 years' time, where do you see your career going?
I had this, so another story. I like stories.
It's okay, though, how people connect. It's good.
So on our honeymoon, Naisha and I went to Cancun. And we were staying at this hotel, and there was this guy, he was like maybe about 60. And we were just talking to him, and he was like, he saw that me and Naisha were in shape, and he was like, oh, so what do you guys do? And then we were talking, he was like, oh, he's still a personal trainer. I was like, well, like, you own a personal training company with multiple trainers? He's like, no, it's just one-to-one stuff. And I was like, I will not be that guy that at age 60, I'm doing what I was doing back then. So I was like, you know, and it passes through YouTube, passes through Instagram, content creation and stuff. Like, there needs to be a level up. I can't be making like YouTube videos at age 60. So, hey, you know what I had for tea today?
Hey, I think there's going to be space for it, because the older generation, the grey pound, are really being left out, and everyone's aging.
The thing is, like, there is a space for it. And especially like if the older generation are starting, there's one guy who started, what was his channel? Dad, How Do I?
Yeah.
And that was a great channel. It was like for all of the kids that didn't know how to like tie a tie or do basic things, and he was that voice for them. Wicked.
Yeah.
But like I started, and it's been 12 years already.
Yeah.
Like in 5 years' time, there needs to be like a progression out of it where it's like it's not the main gig.
So
It's
you
like,
feel like you need to keep evolving and growing.
exactly. So like, you know, I'd probably I love to do TV. I love to do acting. Like I've never done it, but like Kano never done it either, and he was like star of Top Boy. So
There you go. Yeah.
so I think there's opportunities out there, you know, interviewing stars and stuff like that, and just getting out there more. And then also maybe going into more of a directing and producing, you know, even if I'd love to, you know, direct adverts. There's some products I'm just like, I've got a wicked idea for an advert. And I do that small scale at the moment with my influencer stuff. I take that stuff so seriously. Like I storyboard everything.
You mood board. I was going to ask you storyboard.
Everything.
So
all my little sketches, and I'm like, okay, so the shot
Dream
needs to look
creator
like
to
this.
work with.
I'm like, yeah, that needs to be on a 35mm lens. Let's go dirty shot. And it's like I'm literally that pernickety with all the shots. So it's like, if I could take that big scale, then, you know, that would be a dream.
That's really cool. Make a Super Bowl ad.
That would be wild. Do you know that the people that get this ad space, they like say like Usher had his, he has to pay to be there.
I didn't realise that.
Yeah.
Guess he makes a lot off it.
Yeah, that's the biggest stage. Americans always say everything theirs is the biggest stage in the world. It's the World Championships. How can you have American football World Championships but you don't include any other countries?
Yeah.
Like anyway.
Watched
sorry.
a TikTok on top 10 sporting events in the world, and everyone was like Super Bowl, and it's like, no, it's like the World Cup. Tour de France does really well.
Really?
I know. Apparently it's like second, but I've got to fact check that now.
Yeah.
In terms of like viewership.
World Cup definitely.
Yeah.
Like everyone goes.
World
like
Cup's number one.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But Americans think that American football Super Bowl is like
They do.
the best. Number one.
Exactly. So funny. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to see where it goes. Speak to you in 5 years. We'll see if in 40 years, 30 years, you're still doing PT videos on YouTube. Who knows?
This is how you buy Simple when you're 60.
You know, I thought that it was going to be a really sweet story about how that guy was your inspiration, and then you were like, I don't want to be him. I was poor Cancun holiday man. Like, he was hoping to watch this and be like, Gabriel wants to be me one day.
I'm sorry if you're watching this. I apologize. Public apology.
Keep doing
Influencer
you.
public
Do you
apology.
wanna cry? Hurry
So
Cry.
my comments that I made in the podcast, I sincerely regret it.
Yeah, that'll be our first ever influencer apology on the podcast. We've never had someone literally in the moment realise they were me. There you go, it's part of your comedic charm. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to watch more of these, please click around the channel. And if you have questions for Gabriel, you can put them in the description below.
Cool.
And we'll link your channel as well.
Cool.
So thank you very much. And I hope you have a great day.